So I got another question that, I've always heard you emphasize that whenever I spend time with you and get to be on these chats with you, that discipleship only happens when we are close enough to see what's real, to see people's habits, to hear their hopes, to be with them in their hurts. And so, why is this proximity so essential? And how do you see that play out? Like, even just thinking back to those 11 guys back around 2011, right? How hmm, how did you see that play out with those guys and the generations that followed and even?
Yeah. Well, I mean, one of the things that's coming to my mind right off the bat is an article that I wrote way back before 2000. It was like, will the children learn? I was kind of the Christian ed pastor at this church. And it was a thing called Will the Children Learn? And there's an instruction in the Old Testament. I believe it's Deuteronomy. I'm just thinking of this here in this last second, but it's pass these things on to your children, impress them upon them. Impress them upon them. And I did a little bit of word study on that word impress, and it really is not just tell them, right? Don't just instruct them, but leave an impression. Make, like, when you think of like the signet ring of a king, you put the wax in and then you leave an impression. It impacts the structure of that individual. And you can't do that apart from being very much in their lives. And so to me,
Right.
that's just kind of the opening salvo to answer this question. But to get more practical and specific about that, there's a couple of things that I noticed. One, no one had ever gotten close enough to these men. It was just men in this original group. That's just how it started. I had a men's group, and God said, multiply leaders from this men's group. And so, and then very soon after that, we had groups of women going. So this is men and women. I want to make sure that everybody understands that. But no one had gotten close enough to see their potential, and they didn't have anybody in their life. Maybe parents to some degree, or coaches in sports or something. But who was their spiritual coach that came alongside of them and said, you know what? I see the gift of leadership in you. I see the gift of mercy in you. I see the gift. Like, that was brand new to these
Yeah.
people. We talk about hangups and stuff like that you're asking. And sure, all these guys had hangups. There was one guy in particular that was in the recovery process of a major hangup at home. And now I don't know any other disciple that was in that group that's more influential than. And what I saw happen, Jason, this is so key. The best way that guy ever got to overcome his hangups was to thrive in the more that Jesus had for him. It's that
That's good.
shift of, I'm trying to avoid doing the wrong things, to Jesus is inviting me to the things that he's ordained for me. And those are so attractive to me that I can't help but to engage that. And by the way, when I engage that, my sense of need or desire for the cistern stuff that we talk about in our Fully Alive theology, it just starts to go away. So when I was hanging with them and then watching them interact with as a group through the different H2O sessions where we would lend that positive I see in you type of peer feedback, watching these guys be able to see in themselves what God had put in there like no one ever had before, then that just started to unlock what I would call a pouch of spiritual gunpowder
Mhm.
in each of them that we were finally able to put a lighter to. And they just went on fire. And it was
Yeah.
that proximate capacity to be able to actually spend enough time with them around intentional conversations that would allow us to see these things and draw them out. And here's the second thing. The guys wanted it. They wanted this proximity. They weren't back there going, oh, maybe one day I'll be up for doing that. Or maybe, men typically kind of have this reputation of not wanting to open up. Well, I think that's just the farthest thing from the truth. I just don't think they're given proper opportunities to do so, because when we invite the right men to step into these even the triad stuff that we do, they couldn't wait. They're like, how in the world have I lived without this
Yeah.
for the last 30 years? So anyway, It's so powerful. Those relationships that started in that group back in 2011 are still strong and connected today.